Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you're a focused learner looking to really understand the gritty, grounded details of one of the most fascinating fantasy ecosystems out there, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're jumping straight into the brutal and incredibly rich lore of the Dwarves of the Grim Shadows universe. They're known as the Deepkin, or, my personal favorite, the Forgebloods. Together, we're going to completely decode who these beings are, how they survive, and why they fight.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because this is the big question we have to answer right off the bat. When you hear the word dwarf, you probably instantly think of the standard fantasy tropes, right? The jolly, ale-drinking miners with massive beards singing songs underground. Well, as we look at the reality of the Grim Shadows universe, we need to completely erase that image, scratch it entirely. The Forgebloods are forged by a harsh, unforgiving reality. They are intense, they're deeply militaristic, and they are shaped by a subterranean world that is actively trying to kill them every single day. To give you an idea of just how resilient they have to be, think about this number: 50%. In this universe, all dwarves possess an immense natural resistance to arcane influence. That literally means if a hostile magic user tries to cast a spell on a Forgeblood, that magic only has a 50% chance of actually affecting them. It's like a coin toss for survival. And this isn't just some neat party trick. It's a biological necessity for surviving in a world absolutely filled with chaotic stone magic and subterranean horrors.
So to truly grasp this society, we're going to follow a bone-to-stone evolution today. 1. Biology of the Deepkin. 2. The clan caste system. 3. Holds of Grim Shadows. 4. Law, religion, and madness. 5. Masters of tunnel warfare. And 6. Legends of the Forge.
All right, Section 1, Biology of the Deepkin. Let's look at their physical traits and senses.
Let's establish the baseline physical traits of a Forgeblood. Picture this. They are compact, incredibly broad, and heavily muscled, standing only about 4.5 to 5 feet tall. But their lifespan's massive. We're talking 200 to 300 years. Visually, they are absolutely striking. Depending on the specific mountain they hail from, their skin ranges anywhere from a pale marble white to pitch obsidian black. And their eyes are completely metallic: bronze, iron gray, copper red, or gold. But honestly, it's their highly adapted senses that make them so perfectly forged for subterranean survival. They have dark vision for low-light environments, incredibly sharp hearing that's crucial for detecting shifts in the mines or enemy tunnels, and a sense of smell so fine-tuned it can actually detect raw ores, deadly toxins, and even blood in the pitch black.
Now, what's truly fascinating here is how perfectly balanced they are as a species. It's a real double-edged sword. On one hand, we see their brutal strengths. They're exceptional siege engineers, absolute terrors in tunnel warfare. And of course, they have that massive 50% magical immunity we talked about. They are honorable for sure, but utterly ruthless. But look at the flip side, their fatal weaknesses. Because their eyes are so incredibly adapted to the dark, they are practically blind in open daylight without eye protection. Plus, their minds are as rigid as the stone they mine. They are deeply bound by tradition and highly mistrustful of outsiders, especially elves and humans. It really makes them a three-dimensional species, you know? Their subterranean superiority comes at a really steep surface-level cost.
Moving on to Section 2, the clan caste system, the hierarchy of the holds.
Their whole society is carved in stone across a really strict 10-tier caste system. And this brilliantly illustrates how they operate. Let's walk down this social ladder like we're descending a mine shaft. At the very top, at level 10, you have the High King. Right beneath him at 9 is the Stone Ring, basically the Council of the Holds. As we dig a little deeper, we pass High Nobles, Low Nobles, Elite Warriors, and Craftsmen. Down at level 3, we hit the Commoners, the miners and laborers holding the entire structure up. But if you keep going into the dark, you hit the outcasts. Criminal clans at level 2 who often work the surface black markets, and at absolute rock bottom, level 1, the debt folk and beggars. In this culture, your place on this list is literally everything.
Section 3, Holds of Grim Shadows, the major and minor holds.
Geopolitically, the landscape is split into very distinct territories. We've got 3 major holds. Stonehold is the religious and mystical capital, ruled by High King Dernick IV. Then there's Ironhold, which is their mercantile and alchemical powerhouse, and Steelforge, the highly militaristic home of the Black Line. But I always find the minor holds way more intriguing. Take Silverhold, home to Clan Silverseer. They're highly secretive, arcane, and rumored to be completely cursed. Or Shadowhold, home of Clan Nightcut, who basically operate as saboteurs and spies in exile. And no way can we forget Painhold, where the inhabitants are literally devoted to pain as a source of strength. It's just a vast, incredibly diverse, and often very dangerous network of subterranean cities.
Section 4, Law, Religion, and Madness, the Pillars of the Forge.
Almost everything in their culture revolves around a strict adherence to their deities, the Forge Father and Stone Mother. The act of creation itself is sacred to them. Their entire psychological makeup is bound by ledgers and oaths, carved literally and figuratively into stone. Just look at their legal code. Never break a sworn oath, never betray a dwarf, never reveal hold secrets to outsiders, and never, ever desecrate a forge. These aren't just polite suggestions, these are the very fabric of their reality. To seal agreements, they perform heavy oath-binding and debt rituals directly over stone altars.
But what happens when that impossibly rigid mind cracks? That brings us to a terrifying cultural phenomenon called Vorndar, or greed madness. This is a temporary but deeply, deeply shameful affliction where a dwarf becomes intensely obsessed with wealth, hoarding, or betrayal. In a society built on absolute loyalty and shared labor, this selfish mania is viewed as a horrific tragedy. It's basically a fundamental breakdown of a dwarf's soul.
So let's move forward and see how this builds into their justice system. How do you handle a madman in a society this strict? Well, the legal procedure is incredibly procedural but surprisingly merciful. Step 1, the afflicted are imprisoned or exiled to the surface. Notice that they are never killed for this. It's viewed as a sickness, not a crime. Step 2, the clan simply waits, as the madness fades over time. And finally, Step 3, they perform intense grounding rituals to heal the dwarf's mind and reintegrate them. It's just a fascinating look at how they handle their deepest cultural shame without resorting to execution.
All right, Section 5, Masters of Tunnel Warfare. Let's talk subterranean combat.
The standard subterranean arsenal for the Forgebloods is highly specialized. They use earth-based spells tied to runes and seismic energy, allowing them to literally summon stone golems, these living rock guardians with glowing rune cores, to fight right alongside them. Their infantry wields steel battle axes, pikes, and crossbows, all while being heavily armored in royal golem plate. And my absolute favorite detail? They wear smoke helms. Remember how their sense of smell is incredibly sharp? Well, these specialized helmets filter out vision-obscuring smoke and deadly subterranean toxins, turning them into perfectly adapted shock troops in the pitch black.
So the crucial point here is that they don't just use standard weapons. They are ruthless, brilliant engineers of war. Just take a look at this specific piece of siege tech. The Breath of Deephold. What is it? Magma launchers. Just let that sink in for a second. They have engineered heavy weaponry designed to literally spray molten earth at their enemies in the confined spaces of underground tunnels. It is an awe-inspiring, absolutely terrifying display of their mastery over their environment.
And finally, Section 6, Legends of the Forge. The notable Deepkin. Here is a quick roster of the major players you need to know. We've got High King Dernick Stoneheart IV, who's currently ruling from Stonehold. There's Warlord Titan Staraxe, a famous former ally of the Grim Shadows. We also have Commander Khan Deathstone, renowned for his incredibly brutal efficiency on the battlefield. And of course, we absolutely have to mention Floki the Mad. I love this one. Floki is a legendary weapon engineer who actually invented the rare and highly prestigious repeating crossbow. I mean, leave it to a culture this rigid to entrust their most advanced ballistic technology to a guy literally named Floki the Mad. Which brings us to a massive question to wrap up this explainer. With their magma launchers loaded, their oaths carved in stone, and their incredibly rigid society constantly under pressure from the deep, what path will High King Dernick IV or the exiled warlord Titan Staraxe forge next? Will their traditions hold them together, or will greed, madness, and endless tunnel warfare finally shatter the mountain? The lore of Grim Shadows is vast, and there is always more to dig into. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the Forgebloods today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.